What's up, guys? This is Matt Dollar, and I'm back with the second round of the HOG Classic B-tier tournament presented by Disc Stalker, Disc Golf Pro Shop. And after the first round, we had Dustin Perry leading at 11 under, Jimi Hadley's in second at 10 under, Matt Dollar, myself, and Cody Britton are both tied at 8 under. So that'll be our lead card. And this is a little overview of what Little Mulberry looks like. And there's your other Gwinnett County disc golf courses. We're actually looking at the trophy I got for winning the opening tournament at this course. So today we'll be starting on hole number 1, and it is in the A position. Dustin Perry will be leading us off. Dustin goes with a backhand. I believe that was a putter. Got a little bit overstable on him. Slid left. So I mentioned in the first video that this hole used to have some trees going down the right side. It was tons of little, very young, skinny pine trees. And so this shot that Jimi's about to throw would not have been possible then. So basically, if you see the grass line, that was the tree line. So this hole got a lot easier. In fact, this whole course lost a bunch of trees and branches during that big freeze a couple years ago. So I guess that was the freeze of 2015, which is very rare down here in Georgia. So I'm going with a thumber with my spark. Trying to throw it in there for an ace. I've aced this one once before with a thumber and once with a backhand. So Cody Britton will be rounding off our lead card here. Cody is actually one of the managers up at Disc Stalker, the pro shop for disc golf in Lawrenceville. Cody has been on a tear recently. He won the East Roswell Frisbee Trail Championship. Just the C tier, but that C tier paid out over $800 for first place. He also won the 20th annual Hotlanta tournament, which was about 3 weeks ago. He won that one in a playoff over Snappy James Cole out of Tennessee. Jimi threw an 11-time rock off the tee there. Pretty perfect shot. So here we are on hole number 2. Remember that hole that's really hard to film, just because there's so many trees. So I actually set Nate down further into the fairway just to see if we could get a better angle. That was Dustin's tee shot there. It was a pretty good one. May have hit something. I think he pulled it just a little bit wide. Then here's Jimi going with the hyzer route also. Looks like he catches an early tree. So here I am, third to tee. Now I'm going with the forehand roller with the hatchet. It's more of a sidearm that turns into a forehand roller. But I caught the very edge of that last tree in the gap that I was taking. And it kind of hit it on the back of the top of the flight plate. So that's why it landed quick and just cut rolled left immediately. Cody goes with the traditional hyzer route, throws a pretty good one there. So Jimi is in a really tough spot. He didn't make it too far off the tee. He's kind of in the left or center route, you would say, off the tee pad. He was trying to bend something out there to the right to get back in the fairway, but the line kind of forced him into playing the left side, and so he got off. Probably going to be a pretty tough up and down from there. This line was unreal. I couldn't believe how hard it was in there. I found the only line I could take, and I was basically throwing it way to the right of the basket, like on a thumber angle, but I threw it straight up and down and really soft. So what it does is the disc goes up and then it stalls and just moves only left the entire way. and then it lands on its back and skips. Basically, it does the same thing as a hyzer shot would do, except it skips kind of the opposite way. But the only way I could do it, because of where I was trapped, was a thumber. So Dustin catches a tree on his second shot. Cody's looking at a forehand here. You don't see that many forehands from Cody, but this is one of those courses that will force you into throwing some forehands, just because it's almost impossible to always be right in the middle of a fairway. So even being in the fairway here, he's looking at a forehand. Oh, he had really nice touch on that one. It just kind of hung out a split second too long and caught that tree. So Jimmy's definitely tangled up over here. He's only about 20 feet or 30 feet in front of where I was. He's looking at a forehand roller with a Firebird.
Go, baby. Go, baby. Go, baby. Yeah, I'll putt. Oh, yeah.
That was an amazing out by Jimmy. Jimmy has really been on the come up recently. He just started playing Open about a year ago, and he's made the lead card in several tournaments recently.
Why did you say that right before?
So we're expecting good things out of Jimmy in the future. Jimmy's part of that new wave of Atlanta disc golfers that started playing Open in the last couple of years. We got a bunch of them, and they're all looking like they're going to be really good in the long term. So Cody's got a weird little straddle putt here, and he's got to putt in between these trees, and then he has to go left of that last tree on the right side of the basket. So he's going to force him into a hyzer, and it's slightly uphill. I'd say he's about 35 feet, 40 feet.
Get some.
Oh. Very good bid from Cody. That one actually might have been more than 40. So Jimmy's lining up, trying to save his par. This would be a magnificent save after hitting an early tree on this hole. Beautiful putt from Jimmy. Great par save. So I'm the only one with a chance at birdie after that great second shot. Not very far from the hole, but I do have a tree blocking my line. I have to hyzer it in. Man, I was upset with that one. Not the best putt, but it really looked like the nose of the disc was under the rim of the basket once it went in there, but the back edge caught a nub and it just popped and flopped right out of there. So not very happy with that one after such a good second shot. Not very good to only come away with a par, but it is a tough hole and no one gets a birdie, so bunch of pars and we move on to hole number 3. Dustin throws a pretty good shot. The key to this hole is you want to throw it soft. You don't want to give it a chance to go in the hole because then it's going to go way past it. But to be completely honest with you, I was really not happy about missing that last putt, and all I could think about was acing this hole.
Yeah, bro.
Jimmy takes a putter, I believe, and tosses it right down there to the basket. That's exactly how you're supposed to play it. I take my Cenis again, and I'm trying to ace it. Just over the top of the basket, and sends me on back there. Not too far, probably about 30 feet. But I may have stuck myself in a weird lie, we'll see. Cody is sponsored by Discraft, and he is one of only 2 players in the Georgia area sponsored by Discraft. We did have, well, I guess if you count DGA, we've got Bryson James and Ben Lena. So on that putt there, I actually brought my momentum back, and then when I went to push off forward, my butt ran into a tree, and then I putted it anyway. So just a total mental mistake there on my part. When something like that happens, you have to stop and reevaluate your stance and your putt, and then execute it. So back-to-back mental errors for myself, and that's going to cost me. Everyone else gets the birdie, and I'm stuck with the par. And we'll move on to hole number 4. If you'll remember, hole number 4 is a tight left turn. Dustin steps up. He throws a good-looking shot. Might have been a hair wide. You kind of want to take it a little wide just to get around the corner, but if you take it a little wide, you're not going to park it. Jimmy said that he parked it this morning with a Star Wraith, so I believe that's what he's going with again here. Oh, it looks like a good shot. Oh, he catches that last tree on the corner. That's the thing with this hole. You've got to take it tight to park it. And that last tree really comes into play when you take it tight. So Cody steps up. I'm not sure what Cody's throwing here, but I do believe it's a driver. Looks like a good line. Beautiful shot from Cody. Probably needs to be a little higher if he wants to park it, but that was a great shot. I'm going to go with the pain again. And boy, did I take that just wide enough to get around that last tree that Jimmy hit. And it had good height, so that's going to be a really good shot. Alright, so Jimmy's got a second shot here. It's a little more of a hyzer than it looks like. If you see the very right side, there's that one crooked tree, so you can go around it or to the left of it. Around it is the more legitimate shot. Jimmy with a great upshot there. It's a pretty good camera angle from our cameraman Nate Garner. So now we've got Dustin Perry looking at about, I would say a 50-footer uphill. Gives it a pretty good bid. As you can hear someone say, not quite sure how that didn't go in. Well, boy, I was wrong about Cody's shot. I said it looked perfect, but I didn't think it had the height. But I guess that's the benefit to throwing a driver. He did have the height. He is parked on the long position. But he still has a putt for birdie. You take that drive on either position every time. Looks like Cody's looking at about 30 to 40 feet here. Cody seemed to be taking a little bit longer on his putts this weekend than normal. But that's why he's just dialing it in. Cody's really one of the smoothest players we have in Georgia for sure. Very underrated player, mainly because he doesn't travel outside of the state very much to play.
Good save.
Jimmy with a great save. Dustin trying to get his save. You see my pain, my opto pain there. Went just past the basket.
I'm not really sure what it was.
So after missing hole 3, feels really good to get hole 4 because it's almost like you didn't miss hole 3. This 4 is such a bonus birdie.
No heights of putt. Yeah, I like what Beth says.
There's a look back at the fairway and that sharp turn. We'll move on to hole number 5. Apparently we're going to not catch the drives on hole number 5. So I went with a forehand with my defender and actually threw it better than I did in the first round when I got the birdie. But I hit a limb that is hanging in the dead center of the gap, just to the left of where Jimmy's standing. A very recent limb that's been broken, I guess, because it wasn't there when I played earlier last week. So I pitched up. I'm going to try to get my par. Jimmy gives it a good bid for his birdie. Hits the basket. So we got Dustin here. I believe Dustin also went with a forehand. He pulled it just a bit wide. He's got 40-something feet out of the woods. I'm not sure what his line looks like, but there's a lot of little trees in there. Looks like that line must have been tough because he just pitched it out and didn't even try to make it. This is a little bit of a fast green on the left side, though. Oh, I remember Cody threw the most beautiful shot. It was an Anheuser wide left and just perfect. Split the gap perfectly and parked it. Great drive, great birdie from Cody. Cody's looking really good right now. He birdied hole 1, parred hole 2, birdied 3, 4, and 5. 4 under through 5 here is an amazing start. Jimmy with the nice little comebacker after it bounced over there on his birdie putt. I tap out with my judge, and Dustin will tap out. We'll move on to hole number 6, the 275-foot hole with multiple fairways. Like most of the holes here, it's one of the greatest things about this course is that it has lots of holes with multiple fairways, and you will see so many different shots when you're playing here, especially in a group of good players like this. So Cody goes for the little Annie flex shot up that tight gap on the right, and he pulls it wide, but he catches just the perfect tree kick and arcs up there for a long putt. In team tournaments, Cody is usually a captain for, well, for a couple of years he was for the Georgia Team Invitational, and he has been for the Chicken Shack Team Attack, and also the National Team Challenge at the IDGC. I went with the defender there, sidearm. Absolutely loving that shot. But Cody, so the reason I was telling you about him being a captain for all these different teams is his team name is always the Horseshoe Crew. And he attributes that to the fact that when he gets lucky, he will yell horseshoe. I love it when people get lucky and then just tell you how lucky they are. It's a much better and much easier to deal with than people that get lucky and then act like they threw it perfectly. But Cody's like one of the nicest guys on the planet, and if anybody deserves some good kicks, I guess it's him. Because I've never heard him say a negative word about anyone. So, here's Jimmy. Jimmy's going with a thumber here. Looked like it was going to be a perfect shot, and it was just maybe 3 to 6 inches too high. I was really hoping Jimmy would show me up there and park it with a thumber when I'm throwing a sidearm, but I'm liking my decision to go with the sidearm here. I won't hit that gap every time with the sidearm, but like I might with the thumber, but generally if I do throw the sidearm very good or very well, then it's going to be parked like it is this round. So this is where Jimmy's thumber knocked down. He's got a really long bid, but it's kind of a tricky hole, so I think he's just going to, he's just going to lay it up there. Smart decision, because it sits on a little bit of a hump, and if you do run it this one and miss, they'll catch a little roll, and there's lots of trees over there. So Cody's tree kick got him about 40 or 45 feet from the basket, and long putt, slightly uphill. See if he can go 5 for the first 6. He's taking his time, lining it up. Holy cow. That looked like the perfect putt. If the basket was any less uphill than it is already, that's in there every time. Cameraman looking up in the skies. Maybe we got some squirrel chasing going on. I don't know. We're just going to not cut. We're going to slide right over here to Dustin, who's putting for his birdie. Oh, actually, that was Dustin's par putt. So Dustin's actually going to catch a bogey there. And we're going to have Cody tap it in for his par. And Jimmy right there under the basket for his par. And I'm going to card the only birdie here. So going into hole 7, Dustin is going to drop back to 1 under par. Jimmy is going to be 2 under par. That birdie there makes me 3 under par. And then Cody, who had the hot start, will just have to stay 4 down through the first 6. And we move on to hole 7. Hole 7, weird hyzer line. Or straight up the middle. I like the hyzer line. I throw it really, really soft. I take my hatchet. Don't do much of a run-up or anything. Just try to chip it around the corner high so that it glides really far left. See me trying to get some dirt on my hands. It's because it is so humid out here. I mean, it's always really humid in Georgia, but it was especially humid this day, and just could not get my hands dry. I actually was switching bags last week and forgot to switch my birdie bag over. Georgia native Brock Woodall makes the birdie bags, and that's definitely my favorite choice of the sport bag to relieve wetness on your hands. So Cody's going to go right up the middle here. I believe that's a meteor he's throwing. Looks like he pured it. Just an absolute beautiful shot. It's hard to see up over that hill. This is another hole that's really hard to film. So we got Jimi. Jimmy's got that rock in his hand, so I assume he's going up the middle too. Oh yeah, good looking shot from Jimi. Needs to turn a little bit. Might have went a little deep actually. He had a really good line, but it just kept leaking to the right. So Dustin lines up for that middle gap also. These guys making me look silly. Only one throwing the hyzer route, especially when they all throw these beautiful shots. But during practice this week, I decided my game plan said I should go hyzer, and I stuck to it. Gives me a long putt. Finally able to stick a long putt in there with the judge.
Holla.
Definitely needed that birdie. That birdie will take me to 3 under through the first 7. It's not easy to get 6 and 7 back to back. It'd be even harder to get 5, 6, and 7. Those 3 holes are just tough. Tough par 3s right in a row. And then after these holes, oh, Jimi with a good bid for birdie. He did go past the pin, like we said. Just hits left side chains, doesn't quite stick it in there. But after these 3 hard par 3s, we move on to the 2 wooded par 4s, followed by the monster open par 5. Ooh, Dustin had a little bit of a weird hyzer look, I think, around those trees, and he just pulled it a bit. So Cody had the best drive of the group with that meteor, and he's got a little straddle downhill look. Only about 20-something feet. Should be able to tap it in there. Cody's a pretty darn good putter. Taps the 20-footer in there, no problem. He continues his hot round. Puts him 5 down through 7. So the course record out here for tournaments, although the pins do move a bit, the par always stays around 59 to 60. And the course record in PDGA play was Dustin Perry's 49 the first round. So we move on to hole 8. I have the tee. And I'm going with that thumber again, and this time I hit it perfectly. So I'm trying to throw it straight up and down, have it pan into the gap, just where everyone's hyzers go, and land on its back and do a big skip. So this time I actually got the best thumber I've ever thrown on this hole. And we'll see where it ends up when we get down there. Cody is second on the tee. He's taking either a putter or mid. I believe it's a mid-range. Throwing a nice soft hyzer. Hangs it out there a little wide, but it seems to get through. Jimmy's going to play that same route. Throws a hyzer with his rock. Also pulls it just a hair wide. But one of those trees kicking back towards the middle. And Dustin is also going to line up for that hyzer route. I'm sensing a theme here. I throw one thing and the other 3 guys throw something else. So we'll just go with it though. Dustin lets go of his just a hair early, and he will not make the first gap, but it did kick him out into a pretty good spot. So from where he's at here, I would say he's a little over 300 feet from the hole. He has to go down a tight tunnel and progressively turn right, and at the very end turn sharp right, hit a gap, and go downhill. So not the easiest spot. He takes it a bit tight here. Gets a skip, and I think he'll be right at that corner right before it goes downhill through that last gap, which is exactly where I think my thumbers will land when I throw them really good, and they get a good skip. Jimi is also tight. He takes a little sidearm hyzer shot. Really tough to get it back far enough to the right, so he just plays it safe. May have a long putt. So Cody went over here into the left side, and he's in a tough spot. He's trying to throw a forehand. Now he needs to turn this over. He needs to have some anhyzer on this forehand. It's got to move left, go down the hill through the gap, and hyzer back to the basket. But the way he's lined up, he's got a really tough angle on it. It's going to be hard not to pull it wide to the right. We're seeing more sidearms out of Cody than you'll normally see in a whole round. Oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
Where'd it go?
Oh yeah, everybody's loving that. That was the horseshoe kick.
It was going to be way right.
He missed early inside right, going to the right. It hit. Oh, there's the horseshoe dance. Cody giving us the dance. I love it. So that one deflected off, went through the rest of the trees, and right under the basket. So Cody's going to put a birdie in there for sure. That was his horseshoe birdie dance. Dustin's in a tough spot. He's trying to save his 4. That's a pretty good shot there. So at this point, I'm a little worried about my disc. I'm thinking, where's it going to be? And I'll be darned if it isn't about 30 feet from the basket, maybe 25. Really want to hit this putt. I've never eagled this hole before. And I barely get it in there with the judge. That's the best drive I've had on this hole by 50 or 60 feet for sure. And actually the first time I've ever seen it eagled too, although I've heard of some big sidearms eagling it before. But anytime I throw a 400-something foot thumber, that means I had to have some kind of awesome skip or wind helping me out. And that one probably got a little skip and maybe a little roll, who knows, to get that close. Jimmy taps out there. So does Dustin, and so does Cody. So we move on to hole 9. Going with the hyzer route with that pane.
Nice.
By the way, on hole 8, we had the eagle. Cody had the birdie. And everyone else had a par. So that puts me and Cody both at 6 under par through 8 holes. This is what I would call a dynamite start at Little Mulberry Park. Cody's lining up that hyzer route just like I did. Looks like he's got maybe a fairway driver. Pulls it a little wide.
Oh, yeah.
Manages to fight through up there. We'll call that one the mini horseshoe. Didn't use quite as much of the horseshoe as he did on the last hole. But if you pull this tee shot just a little wide, you usually can get away with it. If you pull it early, you hit that tree in the middle and you're no good. Jimmy pulls a little wide and does the opposite of what I said. Because he was not lucky. He got kicked backwards and to the right. Really unlucky hit for Jimmy there. Wasn't the best tee shot, but it wasn't awful either. So Dustin lines up that same hyzer route. So you can throw that left side route on this hole with something understable and fast. And if you can throw 450 feet, you can get a putt for 2 on this hole. I've given myself a putt once or twice, but totally not worth it. Just want to try and get the 3. So Jimmy with a great out there. I don't know if you could see what he had to work with, but it wasn't much. And that gets him up there about where mine and Cody's drives land. So great job from Jimmy. And with a little work, maybe he can save a par. And Dustin pitches up to that same exact spot. There's hole 9 up there, sitting on that hill. Here comes Jimmy lining up from about 200, 250. Nice little anhyzer with his rock.
Get in the hole.
Oh, great try from Jimmy. Hits the bogey band. Everybody giving Jimmy a little love. So Jimmy will have a downhill putt to try and save his par. Cody's throwing one up there to try and get a birdie. So we were dodging some pretty nasty storms this day. It called for a thunderstorm, and right about now we started hearing it coming. Behind us here, we could see a very dark patch of sky. And in about 2 or 3 minutes, the wind is going to pick up. As windy as it ever gets inside these woods, these thick woods here at Little Mulberry. So, for a minute, I remember Dustin turning around and looking at me like, is a tornado coming? Because that's what it sounded like. But we actually got really lucky, and the bad storm came right onto the edge of us and then just somehow changed directions and moved just east of us. So I'm going with a Cena sidearm here for my second shot. My first shot was money. It just got a little too far left. So I was stuck in a weird spot, and I couldn't really attack the basket with a forehand there. So I had to just kind of throw it at the basket and let it fade out. Give myself a long putt. So this is where that wind really started picking up. I remember thinking, on a course where you never have windy putts, we're all looking at some windy putts here. Great putt from Dustin. You can see those leaves moving now. Cody taking his time, wanting to put this one in there. This putt could put him at 7 under on the front 9. Boom, he does it. Great job from Cody. Nate looks up at the sky. He's getting a little worried too. Lots of limbs could fall out of these trees in this much wind. He's actually pretty happy to be going into the open holes right after this. Able to knock my birdie in there, and I also shoot 7 under on the front 9. So me and Cody just have a super hot round going. Oh, Jimi puts a pretty good move on it. It's a little low right, but I just feel like that should catch on a disc catcher most of the time. So after 9 holes, Dustin and Jimi are both at -1, and myself and Cody are both at -7. So we move on to hole number 10, and we've got some serious wind to deal with on hole 10. Like I said, this wind just came right with the storm and left with it too, because it wasn't very windy the rest of the day. I go with the hatchet roller again. This time I don't hit that tree. I didn't get a lot of distance off the tee, but enough to get me a pretty easy birdie, I would think. And if I'm feeling froggy, I can probably go for the eagle from there, because I'm probably only about maybe a little over 400 feet from the basket. Maybe 450. Cody also looks to be throwing the roller. He watched mine, so he took his a little bit wider. But just like mine, once it turned over, the wind just pushed the bottom out. He's going to be stuck up on that tree. He's not going to be able to have a run up there. It's a little bit of a bummer. But this is a pretty soft par 5 for top level pro players. So Cody will probably be able to do something to give him a chance to throw his third shot close for birdie. Dustin pounds one over the top of the trees. I'm not sure if that was supposed to be a roller or not. I assume it was. But generally you don't see people throw the rollers over the trees. The only reason I would think it might not have been a roller is because in the final 9, he throws that same disc, which is so flippy. But he throws it on a hyzer and straight up in the air. It goes a mile. So it looks like rain falling, but that's actually all this grass and stuff, because they just cut the grass like the day or 2 days before. It's all the grass blowing around in the wind. Actually never really rained on us. So I believe that was Cody's second shot. He actually... No, that wasn't Cody's second shot. Not sure what that was. That must have been Jimmy's second shot. There's Cody. He actually turned it over into those trees Nate's standing by, but it kicked him out to the fairway. So he'll still have a chance to throw one up there and have a look at birdie. With this being a little bit of a soft par 5, you really want to throw 2 far shots to start this hole. That way you don't have to... Hang on. So the camera work got a little wild there for a second, but we're back on it. Looks like I'm going to throw my upshot here. Testing the wind. I got the defender in my hand. I remember thinking, you know, with me rolling like I was, let's see, 5 under for the last 4 holes, I decided I just wanted to attack this, and if I had any chance to get an eagle, I'd like to take it. So we pan right. There's my defender just over the hump. That'll probably get me inside of 50 feet. Here's Dustin after his drive. He's got a hyzer line. Hard to tell where he finishes, but I do believe he'll have an easy birdie from there. So here's Cody after a couple not good tee shot, not the best second shot. He's still got a chance. Throws a great shot down there. That's gonna give him a look at birdie. And Jimmy here. Jimmy's got a weird hyzer line, but he's able to get one down there. That was Dustin's third shot there, so he just kind of pitched over. So he is where the other par 5 position is, way over to the right. There's Cody dancing for us, showing that charm. So I got a weird little putt here, downhill, and I'm in a little bit of a ditch, so I'm trying to stick my foot over the top. Almost turns me into a split there.
Get that. Make a bird's nest back there before you split.
That's not going to work to get any push forward. So it's going to put me in this weird spot where I have to putt with my feet together. It's probably 40-something feet downhill through a gap. Disappointed that I'm not able to capitalize for the eagle there, but still a putt for birdie. Cody will be the first one to putt for that birdie. He taps it in there. It's a great way to finish that hole for Cody after a rough start on it. Dustin uses 2 big drives to get himself an easy birdie. Jimmy had to do a little extra work, but he's able to get his birdie too, and if I tap mine in here, then we will have a star frame. Everyone will get a 4. We move on to hole 11. I'm going with the spark here. This is a beautiful hole. You just have a perfect straight line up the right side, and then you want to hyzer towards the basket. There's a pin position further left and one further right on this hole. And in round 3 in the finals, we'll play this hole, and we will play the pin position to the right side. So for this position, I throw the hyzer, or the straight shot that hyzers. I guess it's really a flex shot. And then on the right position, I just throw a thumber that skips off its back. So I prefer the right position, just because I birdie it more, but the left position is definitely the more quality position. And a lot more visually aesthetic, too. Dustin has a mid-range. He looks to have taken a little early. Catches one of those trees. You can get lucky if you go a little early, just a little further left than he went. Oh yeah, there's Ben Lena. He's caddying for Cody Britton, not codying for Caddy Britton.
Inside.
Jimmy slices that inside route that I was just talking about. And he actually slides up the front of that hill a little bit, and he's got a park job. Dustin just has to pitch up, basically.
You know, Dustin, it would have been mighty gentlemanly of you if you'd have just botched my disc a little bit.
And we'll move on up towards the green, where Cody will be on the right side. And he's putting for birdie again. Cody is 8 under after 10 holes. If he makes this, he will be 9 under through 11. I'm also putting for my 9 under through 11 holes here. It's definitely possible that he has some weird footing over there. The grass is a little thick and there's some weird bumps on that hill. There's also some down logs. So he's taking his time, trying to make this birdie. Gives it a pretty darn good bid there. Hits a little right side, but just doesn't stay in. Tap out for my birdie. We both have the opportunity to shoot a course record here, or a new course record. The unofficial course record is a not in tournament play. As far as I know, is a 47. I've shot that, I think, 3 times. And Jason Light actually lives pretty close to this course. This is his home course now, since he moved down from Tennessee. And I gotta imagine he's probably done better than that in casual rounds. So, hole number 12, I go with the pane, and I thought it was good. I went around the tree you're supposed to, but there's one more tree down there after it that's got a bunch of branches, and I just caught one of those branches. It actually used to be a lot worse, but one of those got limbed up when they first finalized the course, I guess you'd say. So Cody, I believe, is looking at the same line that we both took. Indeed he is. Looks like he's put a pretty good shot on it here. Maybe goes just a hair too wide, catches a little bit of lettuce, but it's still down there for a putt. Sometimes when you pull it just a little wide on this hole, those leaves seem to just kind of suck you into the trees. Dustin also went just a hair wide, but had some nice distance going down the hill. I imagine both of those guys are going to have a putt. I just have to lay up here. And it's not the easiest layup because I couldn't just putt it straight. I had to hyzer it down and then still try to land it flat so it doesn't run away. So Cody has a long look at birdie, but it's kind of a death putt. It's got the slope directly behind it on the right and left sides. And there's some trees back there behind it too, so if he were to airball it, he'd be looking at a long comebacker uphill with trees possibly in his way. So he's trying to really focus in on this one. A lot harder than the last putt. Great putt from Cody. And when Cody is rolling, look out, because that guy gets on fire. One of the things that makes Cody so darn good is if he does get a good break, he will capitalize on it. Guaranteed. So Jimi stuck in some nasty stuff back here. Kind of has a birdie putt, but, you know, to fight through all those trees, it's not going to be an easy one. Dustin has the best drive of the group. He's basically parked. Good putt from Dustin. Although he does have that little bit of hyzer to his putt, and there was a tree just to the right of the basket, so he had to be careful not to hit that tree. So me and Jimi will tap out for par. Those other two guys will get some very nice birdies. And we'll move on to hole 13. 13 and 14 are both shorties, but not super easy. 13 is a bit easier than hole 14, though. So Cody looks like he's going to throw it down the left side, maybe with some turnover. Indeed he does. That's actually the harder of the two routes, but you can make the disc come in softer and land without running away. So if you throw the right side with a backhand, your disc is moving right to left, so it's probably not going to park it. It was actually expertly played by Cody. Dustin goes with the sidearm, misses it high right. I'm going to go with that thumber again. I called for it because I thought it might skip just like it did in the first round, and I gave it a little more distance, so I thought if it did skip, it was going to go in. I'll settle for the birdie. Jimi throws an old KC Pro Whippet there. There's several guys around Atlanta that like the KC Pro Whippets for shorter thumbers. So he's able to knock in his birdie.
That dude's getting paid doing kids' movies. Yeah, exactly.
And me and Cody will both tap out for ours too. So it looks like, I believe that's a star frame on hole number 13. We move on to 14 in the left position. You can just see it down there. Cody throws a great looking drive. May have been a little left to the end of the flight, but the thing is you can't really hold it. You can't hug the right side going down that split fairway. So I actually go with the Opto Bite, the Latitude 64 dog disc. I got a few of those in a few weeks ago and just playing around with it before doubles one day and just loved it. So I quickly researched to see if it was PDGA legal and decided I could start throwing it in tournaments. So it's a sweet disc. It only really requires to be thrown in some weird situations, but I feel really good hitting gaps with it and can hit some weird right turns. So I pulled it a little off the tee and actually went through a bunch of stuff. I was really lucky to be all the way down here. But I don't have the best looking putt. I've got a straddle to a knee and putt with hyzer. Not able to put it in there. This weekend I think I was stuck with probably like around 10 hyzer putts. So I've always had a natural and hyzer to my putt, so it's been a little weird. Cody picks up his birdie, gets back on pace for trying to set a course record. And here he is throwing the wide route. Dustin, it looks like Dustin was trying to play that right side too. I'm just going to go with a thumber up the left side. I remember we missed my drive in the first round, but this is what my drive looked like. Except my drive was a little further right. This one got a little left, but it should skip right there to the middle.
Didn't see it. I'm too short though.
It sounded like a skip.
It sounded like a skip.
And Jimmy steps up with his rock. I'm not sure if he's playing the right line or the left line. See Jimmy wearing an Avion Disc Sport shirt there. That is his sponsor. It's a local company based out of Legacy Park, I believe, which is a private course and just northwest of Atlanta. Jimmy goes with a sidearm, the very rare Jimmy sidearm on his second shot, but it was a pretty darn good one. So we actually started running out of battery here, and I believe we missed one of Dustin's shots. And Cody has still got a good line, but man, if he doesn't just hit that. I really wanted Cody to throw a sidearm there because he was in a pretty good spot. But it was just not a good spot for a backhand. That was my second shot with my thumber. It's going to give me a short birdie putt. So we actually didn't get Cody's next shot. Cody's next shot from over in that right side was a forehand roller that went down towards that ditch on the left. Popped back out and gave him this putt to try and save par. Oh, good line, but just not able to get it in there. So Cody's going to have to settle for a bogey. Jimmy's not happy about that one. He threw that shot good, but just putted it into the cage. Had the perfect line, just needed to get a little bit higher.
Yeah, I'm just not going to talk to him.
Looking like we missed my shot here on hole number 16, but I can promise you it was perfect. It was actually the best shot I threw on hole 16, maybe ever. I threw my hatchet very soft and straight, and it turned right. See, Jimmy's is going straight there down to the straight position. You want to turn right before you get to those trees. So here's Cody after his bogey, trying to bounce back. This is a really, really tight hole. I believe it's about 320, between 320 to 350, but I'd say it plays like 350 for sure, because it's slightly uphill. Cody pulls it just a little bit, but gets a good second kick to keep him from going into the deep stuff. You go in the deep stuff, there's no saving it. Turned out with a pretty decent lie here. He's able to throw a really nice shot and get him right up there so he can save his par. You see that pink disc right by the pole? That would be my hatchet. Jimmy misses a long bid for his birdie. He'll settle for a par. We move on to hole 17. Told him to not worry about catching the tap out since we were about to run out of battery here. Hole 17, man, I don't know. I love the green, but that gap that you're supposed to hit, I mean, you hit this first gap, which is tiny, and then you're supposed to hit that gap that's equally tiny 200 feet away from you, so it's a really tough hole. Not a huge fan of this one. That little crooked tree just should go. I mean, Dustin and I both just hit a 10-foot wide gap.
I'm standing over here.
Actually, probably like a 7-foot wide gap that far away, and just would really like to see that crooked tree go, but whatever. Sometimes I'll actually throw a thumber in between these two trees, or this one tree that's leaning over the tee pad that splits. I'll throw a thumber in between those, in between the split tree.
Stupid hole.
But I don't really want to take that chance in a tournament, because if you do miss and hit one of those two trees, you're going to end up behind the tee pad. So all three of us so far throwing pretty good drives on this one, but not able to get through. See if Cody can work a little horseshoe magic and get one up there. Looks like a good line. And Cody does. He finds the horseshoe. He goes just to the left of that little squiggle tree that shouldn't be there. Good upshot from Jimmy. Good upshot from Dustin. Here I am. I'm about 50 short and to the right. Straddle putt. Oh, hit the cage. Oh, I wanted that one so bad. So Cody, let's see if he can take advantage of his good break sliding between those trees. He's got a long putt onto an uphill, slightly elevated green, and lots of potential for a rollaway if he misses it. But that's Cody Britton. He ain't going to miss it. Like I said earlier, Cody Britton will take advantage of every good break. That is a great putt from Cody. And we move into hole 18. The camera's going to die right after Cody's shot. But if you want to know what happened, I can show you the scorecard right here. On 18, Dustin and I carded birdies, and everyone else got a par. And that ends the round, and I will shoot a new course record with 13 under at 47 for a 2-stroke lead heading into Sunday. Cody with 11 under, Dustin with 5 under, and Jimmy with 4 under. I'd like to thank Nathan Garner for videoing and Latitude 64 for their awesome support. Thank you guys for watching, and check back for round 3 and the finals.